A 10-ounce book brings more peace than a 20-pound machine gun. A 3-pound brain brings more order than 300 pounds of uranium. How come we can invent better ways to kill each other, but not one to preserve peace? We shall never witness the dawn of peace till we break our trance of arms. A civilian has no more rights to bear arms than the state has to bear nuclear weapons. Those who think that a nation is as strong as its military belong in a mental hospital, not in government. It takes hundreds of years of hard work to build a civilization, and yet with the press of a button, we can destroy it all in a day. Some make bombs for domination, some make bombs for survival. Either way someone pushes a button, innocents wind up dead as collateral. No people in the world want war. They only want a happy and healthy future for their family. It's the state that fills them up with hate against a neighbor in the name of patriotism. Patriotism is primitiveness. Patriotism is the antithesis of world peace. It is the antithesis of acceptance, integration, and harmony. In short, patriotism is the ultimate crime against humanity. Let me show you how. What's the image that comes to your mind when you hear the word patriotism? Just think. A soldier with a gun, right? And where there is a soldier, there is an enemy. And who is that enemy? Usually it's just another soldier from the other side of the border who has his own children, own spouse, own family at home, and is a symbol of patriotism in his own nation. Now, do you see the absurdity of the whole concept of patriotism? That's how sick this society is, where the only thing that distinguishes patriotism from terrorism is which side of the border bears your feet shackled. Borders that are upheld by politicians to maintain control, not security, not peace, but control. Because a world without borders is a world without fear. And it is impossible to control people when they no longer fear each other. What kind of a moron thinks that a nation grows great by developing the military capacity to destroy another nation? Yet that is the first thing you think of when you hear the term patriotism. It's time we rise above these outdated notions and customs and learn to find home in people, not places, in beings, not borders. The biggest enemies of the world are those politicians who look to win a war instead of organizing the peace, and the citizens who allow them to do so. Until each bullet of imperialism, nationalism, and fundamentalism is confronted by a volcanic heart of the civilian everywhere, there is no peace. There will never be peace. The real warmongers of the world are not the world leaders, but the civilians who can't think past the strength of military, who take pride in the genocidal arsenal of weapons. Citizens fund the war, citizens pay the price. You keep buying your children toy pistols, then you wonder why there is no peace in the world. When you raise terrorists, you're bound to have terrorism, most of which is democratically glorified as patriotism. It takes just one generation of parents to put an end to the prehistoric tradition of war and hate. Just one generation. So my question is, are you that generation? Only education can end terror, not armament. Even if I accept your bogus excuse for war, today we have the technology to fight wars without actually killing people. Only reason we don't is because it's not economical. Life is not economical. Death is. Peace is not economical. War is. It's far cheaper to kill enemy soldiers than take them prisoner at the expense of the taxpayer. One bullet costs $50, whereas one prisoner costs thousands per year. So naturally, preserving life is not the priority. Neither is peace. Besides, think of the rush of pride the primitive taxpayers get from the headlines. Quote, "Our nation's gallant forces took down several enemy soldiers in a bone-chilling surgical strike." Unquote. And more the primitives of the nation are exposed to this kind of blood-boiling headlines, more they get conditioned to believe that in every war, they are on the right side of justice. World calls it geopolitics. I call it Pavlovian conditioning of patriotism, where the citizen canines of a state are made to believe even the worst of stately atrocity to be just and righteous by repeated exposure of a patriotic narrative. As I once said, whoever controls the narrative controls the people. And fear is at the root of it all. Once the citizens conquer their fear and prejudice and grow up into civilized thinking humans, that'll be the end of state. That'll be the end of war. That will be the end of geopolitical tribalism. Democracy is people-approved dictatorship. Military is people-approved genocide. Atom bombs are people-approved Armageddon in conscience court, all guilty of homicide. Nationalist chimps sell war in the name of security. Stone Age civilians rush to bulk buy graveyard plots. Merchant of murder you yell about peacekeeping, while you feast on nationalism like wet little cards. When cavemen take pride in their national glory of death, sanctuary becomes asylum for the lunatic walking dead. Peace is an act of ceasefire. Peace is an act of disarmament. If you don't get the simple fact, you need lessons on common sense. Beer is no bravery. Guns ain't no gallantry. Dump your bazookas in museum. Smell the roses with some coffee. Dump your scripture. Pick up a sport. You'll learn a lot about honor and camaraderie. Dump your constitution. Pick up gardening. You'll learn plenty about preserving life and liberty. Nationalism is the greatest threat to peace. Fundamentalism is the greatest threat to harmony. Any planet that confuses guns with gallantry is a planet of apes. Prioritizing military over education, we only build a world full of terrorists. Military is just legal terrorism. To fathom this, you gotta be human. What do monkeys know of peace and love when guns are their emblem of patriotism? We don't need civilian disarmament. We need absolute universal disarmament. Only a worldwide ban on firearms production can facilitate a paradigm of peaceful coexistence. Let's see which nation has the heart and backbone to legislate absolute ban on firearms manufacture. Let's see who are the first civilized people. Let's see which nation is the first peacemaker. What's the point of one ceasefire? Let's pull the plug on all war. Let's disband all military and siphon those funds to housing, education, and healthcare. No government wants to manufacture terror, but they do want to manufacture control. In doing so, they end up manufacturing terror. Thus, they end up manufacturing war. There is no such thing as war on terrorism. The whole narrative is rigged to peddle fear. Citizens without fear are citizens without border. Democratic autocracy thrives on civilian fear. Ceasefire only postpones war. What's needed is demilitarization. Till borderly apes wake apart national pride, democracy only sustains a paradigm of poison. World first and forever, nation never. Till then, all blood is on your hands. Either you are a nation's simian citizen, or you are planet Earth's civilized human. National anthems count for nothing when the nations are full of monkeys. Monkeys who keep buying bloodshed in the name of national security. Genocide is patriotism, thus teaches the textbook of defense and diplomacy. What else do you expect from legal texts concocted by a bunch of Stone Age monkeys? Monkey kill, monkey laugh. Monkeys are honored with medal. Airforce, Army, Navy, so many ways to maintain status quo of the jungle. The purpose of every national anthem is to enforce and maintain a status quo of war. Show me a human without national pride. I'll show you the pathway out of war. Peace won't come from Washington, Moscow, Brussels, or Geneva. It can only come from the dust and dirt of the streets that we the people walk on every single day of our ordinary yet alive existence. The world has a ridiculously short attention span. It cannot stick to any one cause for more than a few days. They forgot about Palestine. They forgot about Afghanistan. They forgot about Jallianwala Bagh. And they'll soon forget about Ukraine as well. The world forgets, but the suffering of the people continues. Don't be that world, my friend. Be a better world, a civilized and responsible world. Only then we'll be able to prevent another Palestine crisis, another Afghanistan crisis, another Ukraine crisis. Otherwise, these events will keep recurring until everybody is 6 feet under.